President Trump is expected to discuss foreign policy in his State of the Union address tonight. One of the top global issues right now is a U.S. relationship with Russia and their president, Vladimir Putin. Angela Stent has authored a book on this. It's called Russia's World, Russia Against the West and With the Rest. It's set to come out on February 26, and she joins us now. She's also the director of Georgetown University Center for Eurasia, Russian, and East European Studies. Thank you for joining us very much. I want to ask you, we've seen President Trump pulling troops out of countries like Syria, Afghanistan. We've seen the Russians come in to aid Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. Do you get the sense that Russia is looking to fill a void that the U.S. might be leaving?
Certainly, and this is something that Vladimir Putin has been really doing very cleverly for the past few years. Russia, I think beginning in the Obama administration, the Russians saw the United States unclear about what its mission in the Middle East was, wanting to pull out of Afghanistan, wanting to retrench, and a U.S. public that wanted to retrench from these foreign wars. And Vladimir Putin has very cleverly stepped in and filled a lot of that void. It's very evident in the Middle East, where Russia is now the go-to player in all of the major conflicts, talking to all of the major protagonists. And as you say, in Venezuela, where Russia has had a foothold for the past decade and is really trying to dig in now.
When you talk about Putin, what do you think his long game is at this point, Angela?
His long game is to get the rest of the world to treat Russia as if it were the Soviet Union. That is a great global power to be respected, to be feared, and he wants the West to recognize that Russia has a right to a sphere of influence in the post-Soviet space, and to make sure that none of those countries join any Western organizations, either NATO or the European Union.
You know, over the past few months, President Trump has had disagreements with his own defense leaders, with former Secretary of State James Mattis resigning at the end of last year. What do you think Putin makes of this disconnect here between some of his leadership establishment and where he wants to go personally?
So Putin, as a former KGB officer, must look with disbelief, looking at the president of the most powerful country in the world, disagreeing with his intelligence community, disagreeing with his major cabinet officials like his defense secretary, and Putin must be really scratching his head. But I think also the Russians have come to understand that there's an element of unpredictability, clearly, about what President Trump does. And when they interfered in the 2016 election, I'm not quite sure that they really understood what they would be getting into with that.
Do you have any sense of what the Russians want from the United States?
Well, Russia would like to be treated as the United States as equal. It would like, again, the United States to recognize Russia's sphere of influence, to get out of supporting Russia's neighbors like Ukraine, like Georgia. And it really wants to be treated as a member of the global board of directors. I think Putin would like some of these sanctions lifted, because we keep imposing more and more sanctions. But I think Russia's learned to live with them. So it's really, it's respect, it's treatment as an equal, and it's the U.S. should get out of Russia's backyard. And
do you have a sense of how he's faring domestically within his own country? Does he still have the support of the people?
His popularity ratings are sinking. They were quite high when he was re-elected last year, but there has been a pension reform that's been extremely unpopular. And for the first time in many years, opinion polls show that the majority of people don't just want stability, they want change. They want something to improve. The question is, what are they going to do about it?
And then the question also becomes, what does he do about it? Is there a sense of what he is looking forward to in the coming years? How does he translate that to make sure he has that popular support on the ground?
Well, so he wants to remain in power clearly till 2024, when his term is up, and then we'll see what happens after that. He may appeal to nationalism. He may undertake another foreign adventure to get public support up. But for him, it's a challenge at the moment. What happened in 2014 when he annexed Crimea, he got a huge spike in popularity. Can he pull that off again? And if not, then his popularity ratings are going to continue to fall.
Yeah, and that's a big question for him as well. You know, you talk in your book a lot about Russian exceptionalism. Can you explain a little bit about what that means under Putin's leadership? How is it different from Trump's view of American exceptionalism?
That is a great question. So Russia has now positioned itself as the leader of the conservative international. It supports traditional family values. It says that the West is decadent, that the Western church has become satanic because it supports LGBT rights. rights and other issues like that. So a leader of the conservative international and Russia as a unique civilization. He isn't trying to say that other countries should adopt this civilization. It's not like the Soviet period when communism was supposed to be an international, a universal ideology, but it's positioning Russia as something unique and superior to the West. And that is different from the United States because so far U.S. exceptionalism has also meant that we believe that our values should be adopted by the rest of the world.
Angela Stent, thank you for joining us and congratulations on the new book.
Thank you.